Before we get into today's video, I'd like to give a shout out to one of our newest subscribers, Toronto. Thank you for subscribing, and welcome to the family. And now on with today's video. From the reptoids that rule our government to references to the satanic panic, there are a lot of different inspirations for the Yuan-ti, a race of snake people who throw away their humanity to try to surpass the gods they worship. This caste system of Yuan-ti include the purebloods, which are more human than snake, having only a little bit of snake-like features, to the Malicin, or half-blood. It's about 50% snake, maybe a little bit less, mostly a head of a snake, probably the tail of a snake, or maybe arms that are snakes. But there is still not much snake, they're still pretty much human. And then you have the abominations, which are 75% snake. And finally, at the top of the caste system, you have the Antima, which are roughly 90% snake, and are pretty much hated among Yuan-ti communities. Because as soon as they become this, they take charge of the whole lot. Yuan-ti are fiendish in nature, like I said, representing the satanic panic. They worship not only the great serpent gods, but also demons. Well, one of them is a demon technically, but they do have a lot of power, using their charm in order to take hold of their targets. In the monster manual, like I stated, they forsake their humanity, becoming these unholy abominations of human and snake, even to go as far as to breed with snakes. Now, while Yuan-ti themselves do not show emotion, they know what emotion is and use it to their advantage, manipulating the emotions of others to get what they want. Persuading them, tempting them to join in their devilish acts. And those who do not join them in their unholy pleasure will be sacrificed or eaten. In Involo's Guide to Monsters, we actually get a lot more information about these snake people, though mostly things that we already know, and some are just repeats of what they worship, who they are, and the humanity that they have denied. Now, I feel like I have heard about a community very similar to the Yuan-ti. I just can't think of who these people are, but they are so familiar to the Yuan-ti, denying their humanity, practicing in the macabre arts, and taboo lifestyles. I just can't think of anything. Now, anyway, for a Yuan-ti character, originally just Yuan-ti purebloods, but nowadays you can play as any of the Yuan-ti, other than the Antima, I would presume. So what type of characters could you play as a Yuan-ti? Well, that's what we are going to look at today. Take a look at classes, backgrounds, just to see what best fits with the lore of the Yuan-ti. And to start things off, we are going with our backgrounds. The acolyte, anthropologist to study humanity itself. The charlatan, because you are trying to play yourself off as another human, even though it is quite clear that you lost your humanity a long time ago. The courtier, the gladiator, the noble, smuggler, the shade fanatic, and the vizier. For classes, I would say that the most common will be bard, cleric, druid, rogue, and warlock. Now let's go ahead and take a look at each of the classes and see which subclasses best fit a Yuan-ti. Starting things off with the Barbarian, we are going with the primal path of the beast. I would say totem, but none of the totems for the Barbarian actually fit a Yuan-ti. There are some where you can sort of play it off as a snake-like totem, but other than that, there's not really much that fits. Just the Beast Barbarian, where you can take on more animalistic features. In this case, snake-like. Moving on to the Bard. This is probably going to be one of the most common classes that you will use for a Yuan-ti, because of the Bard's ability to use magic in order to enchant. Same as the Yuan-ti. The College of Eloquence and Whispers will be the most fitting, since they will, well, for eloquence, they're the ones that use persuasion, deception, all the charisma skills in full force. As for Whispers, this is more of a reference to some of the other Yuan-ti, such as the Mind Whisperer or the Nightmare Speakers. Types of Yuan-ti that use psionics, or the powers of some of their more powerful gods, to manipulate, to twist their victims to do their bidding. Moving on to Cleric. There are surprisingly a lot of different domains that could go for a Yuan-ti. Ambition, blood, death, knowledge, mind, nature, strength, tempest, trickery, and war. Nothing is more important to them than their ambitions and their strength. But some of their gods will definitely go for some of those other domains, more commonly death, trickery, and lore. At least in the Forgotten Realms, when you take a look at some of the Yuan-ti gods from other planes, you'll start to see some of these other domains, most primarily knowledge. After all, the Yuan-ti seek forbidden knowledge, taboo to more humanoid individuals. Moving on to Druid, this is probably going to be your most common class for a Yuan-ti, since you are able to use your wild shape features to transform into different types of snakes, or perhaps even other reptiles. I would say that the circles of land, more specifically desert, forest, and swamp, as well as the Moon Druid and the Circle of the Shepherd, are going to be your most prominent circles. Next is Fighter, probably the least common, but still going to be one of those that you'll probably want to use, especially if you are more assigned to gladiatorial combat. Having the Battle Master, the Eldritch Knight, the Psy Warrior, referencing some of the Yuan-ti's psionic abilities, and the only unearthed arcana in this list of martial archetypes, the Scout. Moving on to the Paladin, there are 3 sacred oaths that I think would best fit the Yuan-ti, 2 of them being part of the core, quote-unquote, list of sacred oaths, being Conquest and Oathbreaker. After all, you did deny your humanity, so you tore away from your oath of, well, your original race. And of course, Treachery! You serve no one other than yourself. Even the quote-unquote gods that you quote-unquote worship, you see more as a ploy to gain higher power. Moving on to Ranger. For our Ranger conclaves, we're going with Beastmaster, Gloomstalker, and Hunter. And a fun fact, well, more like a disturbing fact, Yuan-ti will actively hunt down grung societies to collect their eggs. Because Yuan-ti find grung eggs to be a delicacy. Nasty. Kinda feel bad for the grung. Moving on to Rogue, we have our roguish archetypes. This will probably be your second most common, mostly for the Yuan-ti pureblood. Those who disguise themselves to infiltrate human societies and pass themselves off as what they once were. For our roguish archetypes, we have the Arcane Trickster, the Assassin, the Mastermind, the Scout, and the Soul Knife. Once again, referencing those psionic traditions. And finally, we have the Sorcerer, the Sorcerous Origins of the Aberrant Mind and Draconic Bloodline are probably going to be your most common, since some Yuan-ti will serve dragons. And lastly, we have Pyromancy, which is a reference to another type of Yuan-ti, where they basically breed with the Salamanders of the Plane of Fire. You have the Yuan-ti Ignans. These individuals are actually good for bargaining with dragons as some sort of bodyguard, mostly red dragons. But yeah, Pyromancy is a pretty decent one to go for if you're looking for that Ignan flavor. And next we have the Warlock. If you're not a Druid, Ranger, or Rogue, you are most likely going to be a Warlock, serving your devious gods, such as Dindar, the Night Serpent, which is classified as a Great Old One, or Meshulk, who is actually a demon from the Endless Abyss. I don't remember exactly what layer he is from. He's got a pretty high number. I think it's like 477 or something like that. But either of those two would make for perfect Warlocks. And just to finish off this video, we have the Arcane Traditions from the Wizard. Like I said, Yuan-ti are mostly going to be using enchantment magic, so the Arcane Tradition of enchantment makes the most sense. But secondly, since a lot of the rituals that Yuan-ti use transform them into this state, the Arcane Tradition of Transformation would definitely be appropriate. And with that, that is all I have for you today, my dear viewers. I hope that you enjoyed. Until next time, this has been Drehard, and let me know in the comment section below what type of Yuan-ti character you would play as. Till then, I am offline.